This is a tale of terror. 20,000 feet in the air, the pilot unconscious, the cold, vast Pacific Ocean dead ahead, and nowhere to turn for help except to the increasingly faint, disembodied voices of complete strangers.
It was national news, and it happened here in Bakersfield a little over a year ago. A passenger aboard a small private plane forced to take over after her pilot husband suffered a fatal heart attack midair. If she was going to survive, it would take an army of aviators working in tandem. And for this special report, 17's Robert Price brought together some of the key players in this real-life drama, nothing short of a miracle landing.
They'd been married 8 months, but Eliot Alper and his wife Yvonne were still very much of that newlywed mindset. Their weekends together were adventures, and with his pilot's license, Eliot was able to turn many of them into mini honeymoons. Except their idea of a mini honeymoon was different than what many might envision. They were runners, cyclists, and especially triathletes. They flew all over the country to compete, swim, bike, run, in that challenging test of fitness and endurance. That was the plan that October morning in 2024. Eliot Alper, a 78-year-old scuba diver, mountain climber, Civil Air Patrol captain, and real estate broker, and his wife, Yvonne Alper Kinane Wells, age 69, would fly his twin turboprop Beechcraft King Air C-90B from the Las Vegas area municipal airport his father, R.B. Alper, founded 70 years ago, to the Bay Area to run the Rock and Roll Marathon in San Jose. But 15 minutes into their 80-minute flight, somewhere over the San Bernardino County desert at 20,000 feet, Eliot was stricken.
He said, "Yvonne, I'm dizzy." And I went to give him some water, and he was gone, just like that.
The panic hit her like a fire hose. She might have to land the plane herself. She scarcely knew what was what on this instrument panel with its row of levers, dials, buttons, and double six-pack of circular gauges. But she remembered one thing, how to use the radio.
This is 6077 X-ray. The pilot has passed out.
And I said, "I need help. I need direction and how to turn this airplane around and land it."
A voice responded almost immediately. It was Kevin Bannon, a flight instructor and air traffic controller with the Federal Aviation Administration's Los Angeles Center in Palmdale.
King Air 77 X-ray, this is Los Angeles Center. I hear you loud and clear, and I am a flight instructor here to help you.
Miles to the east, Bakersfield Jet Center President Ryan Crowell was flying home from Prescott, Arizona with his wife Helen. They were making light conversation when Yvonne's voice broke through on the radio.
This is 6077 X-ray. Please instruct.
And all the chit-chatting stopped in the plane. And my wife looked at me and said, "Did I just hear what I think I heard?"
Could they help in any way? They tried to tail her as best they could, but the Alper's twin-engine King Air was faster than Kroll's single-engine Beechcraft Bonanza.
And it was a very helpless feeling. And your heart breaks for her, especially knowing that it was her husband later.
Our 77 X-ray, Roger. Are you the only person on board the airplane right now?
Yes, I am.
No, I mean, this is something that you don't even train for. It's impossible to train such a scenario. It's so outlandish. I had to tell myself, if I remain calm, that's the only way we're gonna have a successful outcome.
Eliot Alper had programmed the plane to take them to Monterey. The plan was he would disengage the autopilot as the plane approached the small airport and hand fly the King Air to a safe landing. With Eliot unconscious, that task was up to Yvonne. By this time, a hastily assembled team was moving into place to assist Yvonne on the ground and in the air, literally all across the southwestern United States. FAA employee Sean Rosenberg was also in the Los Angeles Air Route Traffic Control Center that morning.
I mean, at this point, when it's happening, it's a national event.
And everyone had reached a consensus on the next necessary step. Kevin Bannon gently delivered Yvonne her instructions.
If you are comfortable, our plan is to take you to the north of your current position and get the airplane safely on the ground at what's called Bakersfield Meadows Field. It's a long international airport runway.
We're trying to get you to land at Bakersfield just because the airport there is very large, very long, and it's nice and flat and open.
BFL has relatively little around it in terms of residential or commercial structures. It also has more than adequate on-site emergency services and nearby medical facilities. It was her best shot. But how were they to give instructions when none of the members of the emergency ad hoc team knew enough about the King Air Yvonne was trying to bring home? So they reached out to people like Courtney Reisner,
I was just at home making
a 25-year-old pilot from Bakersfield. She was standing over a hot stove making lunch when she casually walked into the next room to check her phone.
I had several missed calls from the FAA, and I was like, well, that's not good. So I called them back.
She would be burning her lunch this day. The FAA team needed Reisner's help to, among other things, help Yvonne locate the autopilot switch somewhere on the plane's dashboard maze of screens, buttons, and toggles. Where was it?
Well, there's a saying, if you've flown one King Air, you've flown one King Air. Not flown all of them, because each one you can do different modifications and upgrades, and one serial number is different from the next.
Talking with an FAA go-between, they successfully located the autopilot switch. One task down, 1,000 to go. By this time, Kevin Bannon, the air traffic controller, had shifted to a coordination role. Rosenberg took over communicating directly with Yvonne. Next task, convince Yvonne to actually disconnect the autopilot. She didn't want to, with good reason, and Rosenberg didn't blame her.
You don't know how the plane is set up when it's on autopilot because those aircraft are very complex and they have usually auto throttles. They have auto trim, they have aileron roll control, pitch control.
And she couldn't land at Monterey even though she was only about 30 miles away. It was just too risky.
Monterey has a very tricky approach. You're descending with the mountains, and the runway itself has ocean on one side, mountains on the other side. So for an experienced pilot, it's a tricky approach. For a new pilot, it's a really bad idea.
But the most compelling reason for her to disconnect the autopilot and take her chances hand-flying the airplane was this. She was going to lose radio contact with her coaches at any moment.
She was about 40 miles outside of our airspace.
And now, as she approached Big Sur, she could see the vast Pacific Ocean before her.
It was going to go into the ocean. We were going to keep on flying over the ocean, and we couldn't go too far that way.
And I knew from my experience that if that happened, she could be stuck above a marine layer that was likely in the area on that afternoon, realizing we had two outcomes. She'd get lost over the ocean or she'd fly out of our radio range.
For a few moments, Yvonne actually considered allowing the plane to just slice through the coastal marine layer and continue out over the water until the King Air ran out of fuel and she eased slowly into the sea. She had lost Eliot, she was almost certain, but then she remembered her daughters and her grandchildren and everything she'd be leaving behind. And like a triathlon competitor tottering on the brink of surrender, she summoned up all the resolve she could muster. So Yvonne set her apprehension aside and switched off the autopilot. She was flying the plane.
It's level.
Your altitude is really good. I would have thought you'd a King Air pilot.
Now, as she approached Bakersfield, it was time to undertake another almost unthinkable challenge, landing the plane. Rosenberg wouldn't be able to help her there.
Because as she gets closer to Bakersfield, we in the radar facility can't see that close to the ground with a lot of accuracy. So having pilots on the ground who could see her and tell her how to do the final touches of landing an airplane were invaluable.
The final act of this drama was in the hands of Wonderful Aviation. Nick McLean and John Hess, pilots employed by the California-based farming giant familiar with King Airs, were urgently summoned to the Meadows Field Tower.
They don't call us at all. Yeah, it's very rare. So whenever we get a call like that, it's just like, okay, this is a major deal.
John Hess had the most experience with the type of King Air Yvonne was flying.
The aircraft was configured. She had gear down and flaps for landing.
They got her in the terminal area, nearby the airport, and then they gave control over to the Bakersfield Tower where John was able to talk to her.
Hess brought her into position.
Do you see the runway? I see it, thank you.
We talked about airspeed and descent rate and kept her coming down.
By this time, Ryan Crowell and his smaller single-engine prop had landed at Meadows just before they shut down everything for Yvonne's landing.
I was honestly expecting to see a fireball because it's just not something that your average person can do.
as we're sitting there watching it, it almost feels surreal, like you're watching something unfold and you have zero control.
That 120 knots is great.
R49 traffic's now short final for 12 left.
Keep your right turn coming to line up straight with the runway. It's the big dark.
If we have 2 available units, can we have shut down Norris Road at airport? It looks like she's trying to make a landing here, so if it overshoots, we have the traffic block.
120 and start pulling the throttles towards close. Pulling back.
Airport north. Control on 1.1, I'll cover Pegasus and North.
110 far center of the unit traffic.
She hit the ground with barely a bounce, almost perfect, but she hadn't been coached on one last crucial thing, applying the brakes. But this was no oversight.
I told her after she touched down with intention, because if your feet are on those brakes before, you'll blow both of the tires and lose control, potentially flipping the aircraft over.
Red lever's closest to
Air 2, looks like the aircraft's down and it's rolling, so it looks like we're going to be safe on it, Norris.
Yvonne came to a stop about 100 feet off the end of the runway.
Good job, Yvonne. Thank you. Hey, well done, Yvonne.
Put my hands in prayer and collapsed to my knees and said hallelujah.
Cheering and hugging and, you know, shouting.
It was a huge sigh of relief when I saw that she had landed.
It was just a lot of elation, a lot of high-fiving.
She could have done anything wrong, and she didn't do anything wrong. Like, it was truly amazing.
I don't know how you describe what happened as anything short of a miracle. It's not an easy thing to land an airplane.
It was probably 2 to 3 months of flight lessons condensed into an hour.
Her coaches are convinced Yvonne's experience as an extreme athlete was a big factor.
Triathlete, all those competitions that are grueling, she would have to have a mental toughness that I can't even imagine, and I think she demonstrated that.
Eliot Alper was laid to rest 18 days later. Among the mourners, Sean Rosenberg, whose calm expertise had guided Yvonne Alper to a safe landing. A year later, Eliot's gravestone still has not been placed. For now, Yvonne marks it with newly earned triathlon medals and other tokens of their life together. It took a year, but Bannon finally met Yvonne as well. 17 News helped coordinate their reunion.
I was so grateful just to watch her walk through the door with a beaming smile on her face and give her a big hug. So
this was a tragedy and a triumph shared by many.
I feel like it was an honor to be part of it.
I think I had a guardian angel next to me, and then I had some amazing flight instructors.
Call it a feat of collective wills. Call it shared fortitude. Call it the miracle landing. For 17 News, I'm Robert Price.